Hi, I'm Regina Campbell from the Campbell Law Group, and we're coming today to talk about whether or not to litigate. And the question here is to litigate or not to litigate. Though I'm sure Shakespeare did not have litigation in mind when he talked about to be or not to be, to litigate or not to litigate still remains a very important decision in most people's lives, and it certainly should not be taken lightly. So as an attorney, some of the things that I tell people to look at whether to decide to litigate or not is not just the cost involved, but what are the reasons, what are the objectives and goals of what you're trying to accomplish in a courtroom. What are your damages? What are your facts? So basically some of the things to look for to be more clear whether to litigate or not to litigate is, do you have a case? You have to speak to a lawyer and talk about basically the elements that you believe are the basis for a cause of action. So in other words, if you have a breach of contract, you would consider whether or not someone has breached the contract that you guys have signed, that the parties have signed. Is that breach obvious? Is it a material breach? Is it an insignificant breach potentially? And what are the damages that breach caused? Are they the type of damages that you're able to actually collect from in court? Are they permissible sort of damages and compensation that you're looking forward to from that cause of action? And then of course you also want to consider the cost of litigation. Often people come to me and they've lost $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, and that is most certainly a lot of money to everybody and to most people. But it is something you want to consider, that litigation itself can just cost so much money. It can cost $20,000 or $30,000 to go through a simple sort of course of proceedings, even for a breach of contract case. You have to consider some of these issues when you're considering whether or not to litigate. And probably one of the most important ones are the ones people do not think about. And it's basically, what is your objective and what is your goal here? If it's personal, you need to think long and hard about whether or not to litigate, because often starting a litigation case based on personal anger or anguish or personal vendetta reasons is not a good reason to litigate, and it normally does not belong in the courtroom. If it is to be righted, so to speak, for a wrong or damage that you incurred, once again, we need to go through the analysis of if it makes sense whether or not to litigate from a cost point of view and also from a strength of the case point of view. You also want to consider the psychological and emotional, effects that litigation has, and is that something that you want to spend your time and energy into? So, basically these are some of the things that you want to consider when you litigate. One of the other things is potentially, some people do these things for principle. I hear, Ms. Campbell, I know this is going to be difficult, it's a fact-intense case, but this person robbed me, they defrauded me, it's a Ponzi scheme. I don't want to just let them go, it's out of the principle. Even though I may not be able to collect, I may not be able to have them thrown in jail, I may not be able to have certain remedies I think this person deserves, but I want to do it for the principle. So litigating for principle can not only be very expensive, it's not always a wise choice. It's something that you need to really sit down and consider your reasons for doing so and what you expect to get out of court, because often some of the remedies that you think you're going to get are not available in court, basically. So for moral and ethical breaches, those are the type of things, for instance, that you're not going to get reparation for. So there's a lot of things that go into this decision, but it's a very large decision to make. It can affect every aspect of your case and in your business. It takes away energy and time from your family and from your business and potentially from growing. So these are things you need to consider, whether or not to litigate or not. Hopefully this has been helpful. So please subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media platforms for more information. Take care.